Greetings, fellow Kerbonauts! Welcome to Kerbal Space Program. My name is Rice. I am a KSP Minimalist, and this is the Minimalist Shuttle Program, Episode 10. And since we managed to finish up construction of our Kerbal National Space Station, we now have a proper stepping stone that we could use to make our trip to the moon, over to Minimalist, and beyond. And so, we need to start testing some new equipment that'll give us the ability to start setting up some bases on the surface of other celestial bodies. And the absolutely vital piece of equipment that will lead the charge in the construction of our bases on other worlds will be our construction rover. Put together with just 25 parts and with a lifting capability of about 3 tons, this little puppy has the ability to pick up the bits and pieces that land onto the surface of a planet and put it together using the Infernal Robotics built arm, Lego style, in order to construct our bases. Now, what's really neat about this construction rover is that it is designed to fit inside the cargo bay of our Minimalist shuttles. And believe it or not, when its wheels are folded in and it is compacted together, it just barely fits inside that bay. Now, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be using Bill, our resident space engineer, and he is going to help test our lift and move capability for this rover. Now, let's go ahead and turn off the brakes. First off, we're going to check our steering capabilities on our wheels here, and looks like we're doing pretty good. This thing has the ability to turn on a dime, because both its front and its rear wheels turn. So what we're using here is the B9 Aerospace landing gears rather than the standard rover wheels. One thing that I found is that the rover wheels that come stock with this game, with the exception of the smallest rover wheels of them all, don't quite fit inside the cargo bay when you attach them to rovers. I tried using the smallest rover wheels that came stock with this game. However, those wheels were way too fragile, and they couldn't support the weight needed in order for our construction rover to carry out its job. So let's go ahead and extend this arm here. And we're going to have Bill supervise the movement of the arm here and the crane. Now, this arm has the ability to be both a crane and also a segmented arm that can pick up equipment and attach them both vertically and also horizontally to other bits and pieces. However, the caveat is that these bits and pieces need to be somewhere around the 3-ton mark. Anything heavier, and the counterweight of the item that it's picking up might end up toppling over our rover. Okay, now that we have our winch properly aimed over the radial connector port, we're going to go ahead and move the arm just a little bit closer here. Make sure that we get this thing as close as possible. When we attach the winch to the radial connector port, we want to make sure we get it as close as possible so that when we ultimately lift this vehicle here, or rather this mock lander that we have, we want to make sure it doesn't swing around too much. Okay, and let's go ahead and open up the GUI for our winch. There we are. And let's go ahead and retract, and it's snapped into place. Perfect. Okay, so next up, we're going to go ahead and retract the landing gears. There they are. I'm sorry, the landing legs. Want to keep the landing gears out for our rover here. Okay, perfect. And retracting back one of our ladders. And then let's go ahead and take this piece of equipment out for a ride. We're going to test the stability of our construction rover here and its ability to move equipment around as stable as possible. We want to make sure that we alleviate as much wibble wobble as possible when we're moving things around. There we are. Now, what we're doing is, as we're going down this slope, we're going to be backing up backwards, actually, so that the counterweight can keep our vehicle stable while we're moving on an incline. If we were going around, if we flipped this vehicle around going forward, there's that little possibility that the construction rover might accidentally topple over. And there we are, and successful test. Just a little bit of a lift on the back wheels there, but overall looks like everything is looking good. So let's go ahead and turn our vehicle around, and let's go ahead and set our lander, our mock lander, down in the grassy area here. Nice and careful, like. Now, we gotta keep in mind that this is no hot rod. This is a very deliberate and cautious maneuver we're doing here. And we want to make sure that when we're moving vital, essential pieces to our base, we want to make sure that we're taking our time and that we're moving things very carefully here. Okay, and oh, there we go. Let's go ahead and set this piece of equipment down. So we're going to use our arm here. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna use our Rototron here, and we're gonna test out the Rototron's capabilities by turning our vehicle about 90 degrees. So let's go ahead and set our landing legs, and then let's turn the lander 90 degrees. Perfect. Oh, I am loving this Infernal Robotics upgrade here. Ever since they upgraded the Infernal Robotics to this game, things have been a lot more intuitive, a little bit easier to handle. Okay, and winch is down. Let's go ahead and see about decoupling here. Oh, wrong button. Oh, wrong button again. Let's set down our mock lander again. Okay, and unplugging, and then retracting our winch. Perfect. And look at that. All right. This vehicle is near ready for the moon. Now, we need to head up to the Kerbal National Space Station so that we can start setting it up for preparations for flights to the moon. In order to do that, however, we need to ferry one of the most vital components that we need in order to properly refit our space shuttles for its trip to the moon. And what that is going to be is our nuclear engine, which is exactly what we have sitting in the cargo bay of our shuttle. What we're going to do is we're going to take that nuclear engine and we're going to attach it to the space station. That way, when we send up future shuttle missions with the intent of going to the moon or to various other planets, the shuttle has only to lift off with its standard lifting engines, then dock at the space station, which the space station will then be a refit station since it has that nuclear engine with it, and then we'll take that nuclear engine, attach it to the space shuttle, and then we'll use that nuclear engine to propel that space shuttle to whatever celestial destination it wants to go to. Now, in most respects, this is the same moon shuttle that we constructed during our live stream event a few weeks back. However, I took the liberty of making a few modifications to this vehicle, partially to lower the part count and also for stability purposes as well. I managed to move the engines off to the side of the wings, as you can see there, and the moon shuttle itself, as a result of some of the modifications I did to it, has 2 less parts attached to it now. Making it a little bit more minimal than usual. And more minimal vehicles are always a good thing. Absolutely. Okay, now we've surpassed the 10-kilometer mark. We are ready to detach our SRBs in 3, 2, 1, 0, and mark. There we go. Okay, so SRBs are away, and we are now under power of both our regular liquid fuel boosters and also the boosters that are attached to the fuel tank there. As you can see, as per the last live stream that we did, we moved the main launch engine off of the shuttle and placed it directly onto the fuel tank. That way, we have that spare port at the bottom to attach our nuclear engines to when we take the shuttle to the moon. Now, here we are on approach to the Kerbal National Space Station, making a nice, easy, serene coast to our target, with every intent of docking to the docking port that's furthest away from those solar panels. We want to make sure that we're as far away from those solar panels as possible, as those tend to be pretty fragile, and we hate to send another trip out there just to repair this station as a result of some crazy maneuvering by Jebediah Kerman. And looks like we've opened up our cargo bays, and lo and behold, we have our nuclear engine exposed and ready to be transported as soon as we finish docking to the station. Okay, and coming in nice and easy. Here we are. Now, as anyone who's probably watched me play this game for quite some time now, I absolutely love docking. I know I probably say this about every other episode, but I love docking. I tend to take my time when I do my approach and rendezvous to my targets here. And with that said, we're going to go ahead and skip ahead here as we make our way closer to the docking port. We're about 1 meter to target, moving at a leisurely 0.01 meters per second towards our target there, which is, by NASA standards, still recklessly fast. However, by Kerbal Space Program standards, still way too slow. However, from my point of view, I love taking my time once again, just watching as those two ports slowly begin coasting with each other and seeing the absolute perfection that is the Navy Fish docking mod, as it shows us how easy it can be to dock two craft together, provided that you pay attention to the telemetry data that you get from his mod. And now we are attached to the space station, and now we can go ahead and get to work. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and speed up time to 5 times speed while we have Bill here, our resident space engineer extraordinaire, secure our shuttle to the space station by using the struts provided by our amazing Kerbal attachment system here, so that we alleviate any potential wibble wobble that comes from attaching a ginormous space plane to a ginormous space station. Okay, so now we have a good secured attachment between both our shuttle and our station. So now we have moved over to the light side of the planet once more. We're going to go ahead and begin setting up to move our nuclear engine over to the space station. So Bill here is going to go ahead and take a ride on our little our little utility pod, and we're going to use our utility pod to go ahead and transport that nuclear engine. Now, some may assume that carrying a nuclear engine all the way into orbit just to attach it to a space station, only to reattach it to the space shuttle or any other vehicle that's going to the moon, might be a little bit too complicated. However, in a way, those people that assume would be correct. However, but also, having a nuclear engine already in orbit waiting for you gives you options, in that when you launch your shuttle or when we launch other vehicles up into orbit, that's a couple less tons that we have to worry about and a lot less fuel that we have to carry with us in order to get us into orbit. And let's face it, this nuclear engine weighs several tons, and when you consider that the shuttles that we use in this Minimalist Space Program series are optimized to carry only so much payload, like for instance this shuttle here, which carries roughly about 5 tons, we're talking a whole lot of extra weight that could have been used for something else. Okay, and there we are. So we've top-sided over to the other side of the station. And when I mean top-sided if you were looking at the space station from equatorial side. So everything is relative here. Okay, here we go. And we're going to go ahead and attach it near the solar panels here, relatively far away from the shuttle. Okay, there we are. And we are close to alignment. There we are. Now we just coast right in. So we are about 9 meters to target, coasting in at a nice leisurely 0.06, 0.09 meters per second here. Looks like our little utility pod has things pretty well taken care of here. This should be a nice and easy dock here for us. Consequently, if we ever need to do an orbital change for the space station, it has the option of using that nuclear engine. Traditionally, we've used RCS thrusters to help equalize the orbit of our space station around Kerbin. But now that we have this nuclear engine, we can probably do some major plane changes if we wanted to as well. Okay, so now that we've got our nuclear engine placed onto the space station, which, by the way, officially makes our space station not just a refueling point and also a habitation point, but also makes it a refit station as well. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and park our utility pod right in between the two solar panels here. It's moving in at about 4 meters to target at 0.05 meters per second. And coming in nice and easy. This one's going to be a bit of a sloppier dock. Perfect. Okay. Let's go ahead and have Bill start collecting up our struts here, and we're going to start stowing them away, because what we're going to do is we're going to get ready to head back home to Kerbin as quickly as possible here. However, it looks like Kerbin is a little bit on the night side, so we're going to have to sit tight for just a little bit here while we head on over to the Space Center so that we can speed up time and bring the Kerbal Space Center over towards the next morning here. So let's go ahead and speed up time just a bit here. Perfect. Okay. All right, so back to our space shuttle here. Let's go ahead and prep for undock. And undock. We are good to go. And let's go ahead and head on back home. Now, in the past, whenever there was an update to Kerbal Space Program, our save files have usually been corrupted, and we usually had to restart the Minimalist Space Program series from scratch. Which puts us in a little bit of a conundrum here, as the game we are playing right now is Kerbal Space Program 0.90, the beta version. Those of you who have attended the last live stream where we put together a space shuttle using the new aerodynamics series in the new Kerbal Space Program 1.0, unfortunately, that new game is not compatible with this save file, which is from this Kerbal Space Program beta that we're playing currently. So for the time being, I'm going to be hopping around between two different versions of the game, the 1.0 version and the 0.90 version, for the sake of preserving the Minimalist Space Program series that we have here with our shuttles. So at least until the B9 Aerospace Pack mod is updated for 1.0, we're going to continue to play the Minimalist Shuttle series off of the old-fashioned 0.90 beta game. However, that's not to say that I won't be doing any live streams or any other type Minimalist Space Program series type games off of the 1.0, which I fully intend to do. But at least for now, the Minimalist Shuttle series will continue. Business as usual, unfortunately without any female Kerbals or the stock resource gathering system. But I'm sure we could probably figure something out. Now, with all that said, I hereby declare this mission complete. Thank you everyone for watching. This is Rice signing off, and I look forward to seeing you all next time.